Last night, the protests over the killing of George Floyd by evil cops raged on not just in Minnesota but throughout the country. Here was Fox News' predictably awful reaction.
Ugly opinions, police brutality, officious bird watchers, rude entitled ladies walking their dogs in big city parks, all of that is bad. But none of it is nearly as bad as what you just saw. The indiscriminate use of violence by mobs is a threat to every American of all colors and backgrounds and political beliefs. Democracy cannot exist when people are rioting. Rioting is a form of tyranny.
So freedom, liberty, gun-toting, individualistic protest, that's for white people. Black people have to stay obedient and quiet because the riots are worse than the brutality. Fox was very concerned about the protesters being armed at the George Floyd protests. Compare that to how they reacted to the reopen the economy protests in Michigan.
Let me ask you this question. Why did you show up? These are real weapons you've got on you. Why did you show up armed, and aren't you flirting with disaster?
At the end of the day, man, all our lives matter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And black lives definitely matter at this point in time in this day and age.
Well, I get
when
that, but
when
I
I
don't see
came
that as
together,
an argument for
when
why
I came
you're showing
together
up here with live rounds and a
first of
beret
all,
on your head.
These restrictions are ridiculous, and thousands of people came out to protest. Does it surprise you?
It surprises me that it took them this long to come out, Brian. Good morning. It's always good to be on with you, even if we're so far apart from each other. This is a blatant violation of the Bill of Rights, a blatant violation of freedom of assembly.
So one kind of armed protest, totally okay. One kind of civil disobedience, totally okay. The other kind, really bad, horrible for society, I wonder what the difference there is. It could be the skin tone, I don't know, I'm not a detective. But society, that's what they all claim they care about there. You know why people may loot and people may disobey the law in that way? Because society doesn't care about them. Why would they care about society if society doesn't show any regard for their lives, doesn't show regard for their neighbors' lives, and doesn't even bring justice an overwhelming majority of the time to the people who commit acts of murder on people that look like them? Yeah, certainly looters were not a majority of the protests and protesters there, but it's a genuine reaction to misgovernment, and pretending like they're the problem is just insane to me. And apparently, yes, Fox News cares about looting. They care about criminals taking money and taking resources and everything from businesses, from regular people. That's wrong, that's a crime. Do they care about this kind of looting? America's billionaires saw their fortunes soar by $434 billion during the US lockdown between mid-March and mid-May, according to a new report. Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg had the biggest gains, with Bezos adding $34.6 billion to his wealth and Zuckerberg adding $25 billion. According to the report, the net worth of America's billionaires grew 15% during the 2-month period to $3.382 trillion from $2.948 trillion. The biggest gains were at the top of the billionaire pyramid, that's a good word for it, with the richest 5 billionaires, Bezos, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, and Larry Ellison, seeing combined wealth gains of $76 billion. As unemployment hits record highs, the billionaires are literally looting and taking whatever they can. Disaster capitalism at its finest. Using a horrific, systemic, societal, they care about society, Tucker Carlson says. He cares about society. Doesn't care about people getting infected in society as they storm Michigan's Capitol building without masks and armed protests. No, that's not the kind of protection that he wants for society, even though that disease could spread to people, but I digress. They care about society. These are the real looters harming society. These are the people who are taking wealth en masse from regular folks, not just TVs in a Target. Shows where their priorities are and shows the enormous racial bias in their coverage, which shouldn't need to be said, but seemingly still needs to be.